So today we're going to learn how to do dimensional analysis when there's 2 units in the problem. So we'll do 2 different types of problems, okay? So our first one is, if your pace on a treadmill is 65 meters per minute, how many seconds will it take for you to walk a distance of 8,450 feet? So when I saw you on Wednesday, we talked about you always start with the number given. Okay, but if you look at this word problem, how many numbers are given to you? Okay, yeah, don't look at my hint though. Okay, so do you see how in the word problem you have 2 different numbers that are given? Yes, you all with me there? Okay, so when you have this where you have 2 different numbers, you have to figure out which number do you start with. Okay. And there's a way to tell. So this first number, it's 65 meters per minute. Do you see how there's 2 different units in that number? Okay. The second number is just 8,450 feet. Do you see how that's only 1 single unit? Okay, you will always start with the single unit. Okay. So if you want to write yourself a little note, like always start with the number that has 1 single unit. And when we make our game plan, I'll show you why we start with the single unit one. So if we start with 8,450, what unit does that mean you have to start in? Okay. And eventually, what are we trying to solve for? Seconds. Okay. So we're starting in a distance, yet we somehow have to get to time. Well, that's where this number with the 2 units comes in. Okay, so we're going to use meters per minute to go from distance to time. Okay. So we're starting in feet. And we're going to have to convert it to meters. Okay. So when we make our plan, we're going to go feet to meters. And then it's 65 meters per minute. So from meters, we can convert to minutes. And then finally, what unit does your answer have to be in? Okay, seconds. All right, so now once we have our plan, we can do the dimensional analysis. So what number are you going to start with? Okay, 8,450 feet. And we have to get to meters. Do we know how many feet are in a meter? Can we do a quick Google? Okay, so someone who has their iPad up, will you just do a quick Google for us? How many, do feet in 1 meter. So how many feet are in 1 meter? Okay, 3.28 feet. Okay. All right, what unit has to go on the bottom? Feet. Okay. And it was 3.28 feet for every 1 meter. All right, feet cancel. Now we're in meters and we need to get to minutes. That's where this number is going to come in. Okay, so you're going to go 65 meters per minute is every 1 minute. Okay. So if meters up top, what unit has to go on the bottom? Okay. And we're going to go 65 meters. And per minute is the same thing as 1 minute. All right, and then last we have to get to seconds. How many seconds are in a minute? Okay, where does this 60 have to go? Okay, why does 60 have to go on the top? Good, because minute has to go on the bottom. So again, I'd recommend physically cancel your units. It's a good way to like double check your work. Is everything in the correct spot? We're left with seconds that doesn't cancel and that matches the unit we want to be in. Okay, so it's time to calculate. So go ahead and multiply just the top row. So 8,450 times 60. And then multiply the bottom row, 3.28 times 65. $213.2. All right, and then now you can just divide those 2 numbers. Who has an answer? 237?
Yeah. 2,378.
Okay, 2,378. Okay, do y'all agree with that number? Okay, last step, we have to round sig figs. Okay, how many sig figs are at 8450? 3. How about 3.28? 3. How about 65? 2. Do we ever count the 60 seconds in a minute? Okay, so our smallest number was 2. So how many have to be in your answer? Okay, 2. So that 3 is your second sig fig, and then you look at the 7. Is that going to cause you to round up or down? Up. So what do you round this to? Okay, 2,400. And what's your unit? Seconds. All right, we're going to do a second problem. This one is going to look different. Okay, so this time, let's say a car is traveling 60 miles per hour. How many inches per second is it moving? All right, so this one, how many numbers are given in the word problem? Just one. So we're going to start with that number. And it's going miles per hour. I'm going to write that as like miles divided by hours. And then what are we trying to solve for? Inches per, what's our time unit? Good, per second. Okay. So I'm just reorganizing the information so it makes sense. So we're starting with 60 miles per hour, and I just have a question mark. We're solving for how many inches per second is that? All right, so this problem is different from the previous. You start with 2 units. Okay, we're starting in miles per hour, and we're going to finish with 2 units. Okay, we're going to finish in inches per second. Okay. So the way we tackle these kind of problems, we're going to convert distance first. So we'll go miles to inches, and then we'll go back and convert time from hours to seconds. Okay. So I'm going to make 2 different game plans. Okay, one with distance, one with time. So we have to get from miles to inches. Do we know how many inches are in a mile? Okay, what do we know? Okay, so we can go from miles to feet, and then do we know how many inches are in a foot? Okay. So that'll be our plan we're going to follow for how we do distance. And then for time, we're going to start with hour. Do we know how many seconds are in an hour?
3,600.
Okay. If we do, can we go straight from hours to seconds? Okay. If you don't, could you go hours to minutes to seconds? Okay. Either way, will we get to the same answer? Yeah. Okay. So we have 2 different units. We'll convert 2 different plans. The nice thing is we're going to do it on like one long set of boxes. So we're going to draw a long box. All right, and then what number are you going to start with?
60.
Okay, 60. And do you see how in the word problem I give you 60 with a decimal point?
Yes.
Okay, I would make it a habit to like carry that down just so we count sig figs correct. All right, and then do you see how the unit is a mile divided by an hour? Okay, I'm going to copy that down here. So it's going to be a mile divided by 1 hour. Okay, so now we're just going to worry about going from miles to feet to inches. We're going to ignore this 1 hour for now. Okay, so how many feet are in a mile? Good. And if mile is up top, what unit has to go down here? Okay, so for every 1 mile, there's 5,280 feet. If you haven't physically crossed your units off before, I would strongly encourage you to cross them off for this type of problem. All right, how many inches are in a foot? Okay, what unit has to go on the bottom box? Okay, 1 foot has to go on the bottom. 12 inches has to go on top. All right, inches matches the unit we're looking for, yes? Okay, so we're done with distance. Now we're going to go back and we're going to convert time. Okay, we said we can go straight from hours to seconds. How many seconds are in an hour? Okay, 3,600. If the unit hour is down here in the bottom, then hour has to come up here in the top so we can cancel the unit. Okay, so 1 hour is going to go in the top. And then there's 3,600 seconds in an hour. So now we can cancel out hours. And then here's a great way to check your problem. Okay. Notice inches didn't cancel, and then seconds didn't cancel. Okay. Also notice, do you see how it's inches divided by seconds? Okay. Does that match the format we're looking for in our answer? Okay, this is how you're going to check. If it's not inches divided by seconds, then it means something's in the wrong spot. Okay. If everything is canceled like it has and it's inches over seconds, then it means we're set up correct and it's time to calculate. So go ahead and multiply across that top row. So 60 times 5280 times 12. All right. And it's 3 million something, right? Good. All right, and then 1 times 1 times 1 times 3,600. Okay, so now we'll divide the numerator by the denominator. One zero 5 6. Okay. Do y'all agree? Okay. Last step is just finishing up. How many sig figs are in 60 with a decimal point? Okay, 2. How about 5280? 3. And then these last two are definitions, so are we going to count them? Okay, so how many sig figs can be in your final answer? Just 2. Okay. So that second sig fig is the 0, and you look over to the 5. Is that going to cause you to round up or down? Okay, so what is this going to round to? Okay, 1,100, and what's your unit? Good. Inches per second. Okay, so our next example, Bailey the French Bulldog walks at a pace of 0.80 feet per second. We're going to convert this to miles per hour. So this one is just like the previous one. So first, I just like to set it up, just like we did the last one. So it's 0.80 feet per second. And then we're solving for miles per hour. So we're starting with 2 units, and we're going to end with 2 units. So that means we're going to make 2 different plans. So we're going to make a plan to go from feet to miles, and then seconds to hours. Do we know how many feet are in a mile? Yes, so we can go directly from feet to mile. Do we know how many seconds are in an hour? Good. So we can go exactly or from seconds to hours. Okay, so when we start the dimensional analysis, what number goes in that first box? Okay. Feet, and then what goes in the bottom box this time?
1 second.
Good. 1 second. All right, so we'll go feet to miles first. How many feet are in a mile?
3,600. Oh, no, sorry. That was seconds to hours. What I was thinking. I don't remember what.
5280.
Okay, so 5,280 feet for every 1 mile. Okay, so our distance is good. We're in miles and we want to be in miles. So now we're going to go back and do seconds. How many seconds are in an hour?
3,600.
Good. Okay, and if seconds is in the bottom, what unit has to go up here to cancel it? It's got to be seconds. So 3,600 seconds for every 1 hour. Okay, seconds cancel. Okay, we're left in miles and we're left in hours. Are we ready to calculate? Okay, so you all calculate and then we'll check.
4, 5, something.
2,880.
Okay, so 0.8 times 3,600 is
2,880.
2,880. And then 5,280 is the bottom. So now you're just going to divide. So 2,880 divided by 5,280. $0.54. Repeating. Okay. How many sig figs are in 0.80? 2. 5,280. 3. So how many can your answer have?
2.
Okay, and it's 0.54 and it was 4 is repeating. Okay.
No, it's 5,454.
Oh. Okay. 5,454.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does that 5 cause you to do?
Round up.
All right. So what does this round to?
Yeah.
Okay. 0.55 miles per hour.